Hey everyone, welcome to my Intro to DJing class. In this video, what I'm going to do is show you the general interface of DJ applications, and this is what's going to be mirrored on your hardware. Now, we'll talk about this in class as well, but somebody recommended that I record these videos so people can use these later for reference, which was a really good idea. So that's what I'm going to be doing. If you're watching these videos before class, you're going to be ahead. So I'm using Virtual DJ here. People were undecided if the majority of people were wanting to use Serato or Virtual DJ. It was actually exactly equal, and there were a few people who were undecided. So I'm going to be doing these demos in Virtual DJ, but all of these features are very standard and basic and will be present in all of your DJ applications. So to get started, I'm going to switch over to the starter layout. And the thing to notice is you have what's mirrored here on two different sides. You have what's called a deck A. This is deck A. You can see by the A. And then over here on the right is deck B. So these decks and all of their controls are mirrored and they work for each particular deck. What you also see in your most DJ software is you're going to have a browser which will allow you to access all of your music in folders or playlists, however you organize them. That's usually here on the bottom. So what you can do then is drag music from one deck to the other. So if I go ahead and do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by moving the crossfader all the way over here to the left. Now what this crossfader is going to do is control how much of each deck is playing. If it's all the way over here to the left, it'll be just deck A. If it's here in the middle, it's going to be basically both decks A and B, and as I move it over here, it'll be just deck B. And you'll see as we get into mixing, one of the things that we'll do is we'll start a track playing on one deck, keep the crossfader over to this side. Then what we'll do is we'll load a track onto the deck that isn't being heard. We'll make sure it's lined up, ready to go. We'll play it, then move the crossfader to the middle and finally mix in this track. Now the audience is only hearing this deck, so now we're free to load a new track onto deck A. And that's typically how we mix when we're just using two decks. So to give you an example, I have two loops playing here. And what I'll do is start by playing the first one. This is the play button. You're familiar with this, and I'm going to start the track on deck B. Now nobody can hear it because basically it's not here with the crossfader, so I'm going to move the crossfader. Now it's only deck B. So at this point, I would be free to, let's say, put in a new track. Like so. So this is basically the basics of transitioning between one track to another. Now these aren't going to be great transitions. We're not looking at phrasing. We haven't talked about phase and tempo yet, but this is a good way to get started, just understanding how the general interface works. This here is called the crossfader, but you also have what are called up faders, which control the volume as well. Now, most DJs, myself included, typically mix with these up faders all the way up and use the crossfader to mix. But depending on the hardware and what you're using, you may also mix with the up faders. I know a lot of DJs who will mix with their crossfader in the middle, and they'll mix primarily with the up faders. So you can do that as well, where you just need to have two hands. So if I basically start both of these at the beginning again, I'll show you what this looks like. So as you can see, it's the same thing. I'm a little strange. When I mix on CDJs, I use the crossfader in the middle and just use the up faders. It's just kind of the way that I do it. But on most other DJ controllers and software, and also like hardware when using things like, like a battle style mixer, I'll typically use the crossfader and the up faders. Now, if you're using vinyl and you're doing a lot of scratching, it makes sense to have the crossfader be really sharp so you can do all sorts of turntablism stuff. So for that point, if you're trying to do smooth fades and cuts, you may use the up faders a little bit more. But traditionally, I think the way most DJs mix is primarily with the crossfader and then using these as kind of an extra volume control. So when this is at maximum, of course, the crossfader will be fading between both of these. So hopefully you found this helpful. In the next video, we'll talk about these different deck controls.